first family is planning to assassinate Vice President Eli, frame Jason's death as a suicide, manipulate the American public, and somehow, the most unbelievable thing in this episode is still Jason repeatedly outsmarting the entire Secret Service. Welcome back to Ruthless TV. We're gonna review The Oval, Season 7, Episode number 8, titled Worth the Work. Now, this episode gave us murder, kidnapping, political conspiracy, a smoke bomb, an underground man cave, and a parking lot shootout, all in one episode. But underneath all these levels of chaotic crazy, the real question is, are the Oval storylines finally moving forward, or are we just watching familiar plot beats repackaged with different victims? Let's get into it. We begin the episode with Kareem and Sharon in the hotel room, and Kareem has fully entered into his villain era. Now, he's holding Sharon hostage while he harassed Sharon over and over and over and over about this money that disappeared when Dale's car was stolen. Now, Sharon keeps explaining that she doesn't have the money, right? She doesn't know who stole the car, and she cannot magically produce information that she doesn't have. But Kareem is no longer operating from logic here. He's operating from desperation. And desperation can be an effective character engine because it changes a person's decision making, right? It lowers their inhibitions, their aggression is on 10, and it gives the actor this opportunity to explore or expose another layer of the character. Now, Matt Law, he's also appearing in Courtney Kemp's Nemesis. Have you guys saw that? And I have to admit that I enjoy seeing an actor trusted with material that allows him to demonstrate range. However, this darker direction feels more naturally integrated into this Nemesis character. But on The Oval, I'm still adjusting to Kareem's transformation because the writing moved him from frustrated pharmacist and businessman to armed kidnapper rather aggressively. And that doesn't mean that the performance isn't working. It means the character turns, they need a stronger connective tissue. We need to see the psychological progression, not just the final result. And I've said this many times in other interviews for this show. We go from struggling pharmacist to aggressive gunman. Just like Sam, he went from a loving partner with Priscilla to an aggressive and abusive husband. Like, we need to see the progression. It's important. This is why a lot of show scores low on the believability factor for me, because there is no middle ground, no phase in, phase out. The characters jump from one line of dialogue to the extreme next. I digress. Meanwhile, inside the White House, we have Rachel here discovering Trent's body hidden in a hallway closet, dead. Now, she is understandably panicking, but Kyle told her to calm down and to wait for Donald to resolve the situation. That alone tells us everything that we need to know about this administration. Finding a dead body is no longer an emergency in the White House. Kyle told her that she'll get used to it. And I guess Shawty better take heed because she's now their new operations manager, right? So there is a lot more that's to come. And Donald, of course, he arrived there with Dilva Prin, who identified Trent as a member of her team. Now, instead of immediately discussing law enforcement, evidence preservation, or even securing the crime scene, they begin worrying about non-disclosure agreements and who, if anybody, is talking to the public about it. And this is very befitting because this is actually consistent with the show's central political theme of the White House not being responsible for solving crimes at all. It controls narratives, and, so good job on the consistency. Good old boy Sam, he reports that Priscilla was discovered inside Jason's room in the underground tunnels, and Donald orders him to locate Jason immediately. Now, I have a question. For approximately 6 seasons, these tunnels, they've been this unsolvable mystery, right? Now, Jason has gone on and built this entire underground lifestyle down there, a whole unorganized Airbnb. He's got TVs, furniture, music, alcohol, weed. And if it's the good weed, they shouldn't have any issues tracking him. Not at all. Okay, let me focus. But Jason is hiding underneath the building. This is only the beginning. Because Dilva, Donald, and all the little security agents, they're upstairs planning on how to turn his death into a political campaign strategy. Okay, so that's that. Now, inside the Oval Office, Hunter is meeting with his counsel, Ignatius, about an upcoming press conference. Ignatius advised Hunter to project strength, right? Certainty and authority. Even though Hunter is clearly unstable and disconnected from what is happening around him, Hunter is being instructed to play the objective rather than the truth. And the truth is that he's lost control, but we all know that he's never really had it. This performance that he must give to the public is that he remains completely in command. And Ignatius is even telling him to lie if necessary. And politically, we're gonna keep that as the thesis of this entire episode. Truth is irrelevant as long as the presentation is convincing. And I have to laugh because Hunter kept calling Ignatius Iggy. You guys have got to see this scene. It's hilarious. It's funny to me though. Anyway, Isaac came in with Victoria, and Isaac delivers this coded weather report relating to, as it relates to the plan to eliminate Eli. They discuss whether Eli should suffer or die quickly before settling on this cash payment to the assassin that they have to make so that there's no electronic or paper trail. Now, Hunter has to withdraw $1 million from the Federal Reserve and that won't produce any red flags. Again, I digress. And I'm glad to see that Isaac is receiving a more consequential assignment, because for several episodes, he has mostly been following instructions and searching for Jason. There is no real substance there. Now he's being positioned inside this operational side of the conspiracy, which gives the character great dramatic utility. Okay, but let me pause here for a quick moment, and I want to grab the wardrobe department's attention real quick. We need to discuss Victoria Franklin. Victoria is the First Lady of the United States. People, her wardrobe should be intentional. It should be well balanced, and it should give me high profile, sophistication. But these basic rags that y'all are throwing together for her, it's just unacceptable sometimes. Not only are they giving thrift store vibes, but her look isn't influential enough. And someone in wardrobe needs to realize that her costume design is a part of her character development. Victoria's silhouette, the custom tailoring, the colors and structure, it should all help define her elevated status, right? But after 7 seasons, too many of Victoria's dresses still look poorly fitted, and it's just visually disconnected from the power that she's supposed to represent. Now, to be fair, not every fit is unsuccessful, and I'm sure these dresses are very expensive, but far too often the wardrobe is not wardrobing. It doesn't really support her performance at all. Now, Victoria should be entering a room, making a statement before she even opens her mouth. But instead, some of these dresses are giving me rainbow, H&M energy. Okay, let's move on. Thanks for listening to my TED Talk. I don't know, I've got the giggles today for some reason. I don't know, I think I'm talking too much. When babies stay up for longer than what they should and they just get really silly and just start mumbling and rambling about anything. That's how I feel right now. But Nancy and Priscilla, they're at the house discussing their broken marriages while Max is standing in the background with one ear open on their conversation. Now, both women acknowledge that they come from these families where wives forgave their husbands and they preserved their marriage, right? And Nancy encouraged Priscilla. She's trying to tell her to forgive Sam, just consider forgiving him. But Priscilla is making it very clear that she's not built that way. This scene felt very reminiscent, y'all, of Tyler Perry's early stage play structure. Remember where the final act, they would always often include confessions and forgiving the family and family reconciliation and all the things, right? The difference here is that Priscilla refuses the traditional resolution. She doesn't want reconciliation at the expense of her dignity. And I can appreciate that, right? From a character standpoint, Priscilla is maintaining her established objective. By that, I mean that she's not allowing another character's emotional argument rewrite her boundary. And I love that. Nancy's advice also carries an interesting contradiction because Nancy was the one who betrayed Richard. So while she's advocating forgiveness, Priscilla is essentially saying that may have been the solution in your marriage, but it won't be the resolution in mine, okay? So we then get to this brief exchange between Sam and Richard about Trent's murder and Jason's disappearance. Now, this scene is mostly expositional. It reiterates information that we already know, and it moves the characters into position for the search for Jason. Every episode needs connective scenes, but this one functions primarily as narrative glue. In the White House kitchen, which has apparently become this surveillance command center, Donald informed Hunter and Victoria that Jason killed Trent kidnapped Priscilla, and may have exposed the administration. And everyone agrees that Jason must be found and contained. But this storyline is repeating a very familiar cycle. Jason kills someone. Jason disappears. The White House panics. The Secret Service hunts for Jason. Then Jason resurfaces somewhere that apparently no trained federal agent thought to inspect. Now, the biggest logic issue is that Trent found Jason's underground setup. Right? He found it, and he's not even familiar with the White House. Sam also found it. Priscilla was held captive there. So why is the first search location not the room where multiple people have already seen him? Now, this is where plot mechanics begin fighting against character intelligence. The writers need Jason to remain hidden, right? But to preserve the suspense, the characters can't just suddenly lose basic reasoning skills. A thriller works best when the fugitive escapes despite intelligent opposition, not because the opposition ignores the most obvious locations. Back at the hotel, Kareem forced Sharon to call Dale. And Sharon is hesitant because she says, "Oh, Dale is homeless and he's already struggling. I don't want to bother him." Girl, you're being held at gunpoint, dear. This is not the time or the moment to protect Dale's emotional peace. This is the moment to call Dale, his cousins, the police, the National Guard, and anybody else answering the phone. Like, the larger issue is that the Kareem and Sharon scenes are beginning to, to repeat the same dramatic beat. Where's the money? The money was stolen. Tell me where it is. I don't know where it is. Like, it just goes on and on and on. There's just a different location, but it's the same story. Repetition without escalation stalls momentum. Like, the story goes absolutely nowhere. Now, each return to a storyline, it should introduce new information, right? Alter the power dynamics or raise the stakes, anything. Otherwise, the scene feels like a replay rather than a progression. Now, Kareem eventually receives information from his cousin Antonio that the stolen car may have been located, which finally pushes the storyline out of this hotel room, right? That movement is hella necessary. Now we make our way to Lily and Bobby. Lily finally reached Priscilla, and she explained that members of Team Eli, their team, were all pressured into signing these contracts and non-disclosure agreements supporting Hunter. And Priscilla immediately told her that she shouldn't have signed anything. And once again, Priscilla is positioning as the dissenter, the protester. She's a character refusing to participate in the collective fear that Team Eli keep trying to push on her. Now, in ensemble writing, every group they benefit from one character, right, who's always going to stick out and challenge the accepted reality. And Priscilla is becoming that character. She's not necessarily the most powerful person in the room, but she may be the least controllable. Now, back to the hotel, housekeeping came and knocked at the door, and Kareem panicked because he believes that it was Dale, right? And this is the moment that I officially confirm that Kareem has lost the plot. Not the television plot, his mental plot. The performance communicates that Kareem is running almost entirely on paranoia and adrenaline right now in this moment. Crazy. But again, the script must eventually give this transformation a destination. Where is this going? Is Kareem becoming a permanent antagonist? I don't know. Will he face any consequences? Probably not. Is he being pushed toward redemption at all? Incarceration? Death? What? A strong character arc, it needs an identifiable trajectory, right? Even when we, the audience, can't see the ending, what's the forecast on this character, Kareem? Are we still out to lunch on that? Oh, okay. All right. Now, Sam, again, he's got all the minions together, Kyle, Alonzo, and all the other little agents, and ordered them to treat Jason like a fugitive. Now, some of the agents are hesitant because Jason is still the president's son, right? But he has to remind them that Jason is experiencing this mental breakdown and should be considered dangerous, right? But we have been here before. Jason is still this teenager, right, who repeatedly evades highly trained agents responsible for protecting the most secure residence in the country, the White House. And to me, this reduces the agent's credibility. And I say this because when supporting characters lose credibility, the threat becomes less exciting because we, the audience, we no longer believe the opposition is competent, right? They can't do their jobs. Do they have brain in between those cords running from their ears? I don't know, it's hard to tell. And just when you think the White House could not become more morally corrupt, Dilva and Donald, they decide that killing Jason may not be enough. They also want to turn his death into this favorable polling and a PSA for Donald and Victoria. Now, surprisingly, Dilva liked Victoria's idea to eliminate Jason. And Donald initially had his reservations, of course, but the longer Dilva spun the story and explained the plan, the more appealing it became to him. They began constructing this whole scenario where Jason's murder will appear to be a suicide. Then they discuss how Hunter and Victoria can use their son's death to gain sympathy from the American people. How dare they? They don't see Jason as a son. They see him as a liability. Well, Victoria does, for sure. Antonio eventually leaves the hotel and he follows the lead to the parking lot where Dale's car is being chopped up. But I still don't understand why Sharon needed to remain at gunpoint. Once Kareem had a credible lead on where the car was, she couldn't identify the thieves. She didn't know where the car was taken. Holding her hostage no longer advances Kareem's objective. And that makes the action feel motivated by the writer's need, to save and preserve the danger rather than the character's need to obtain information. Clearly. Priscilla is folding clothes when a brick came crashing through her window, and there was a note attached, and on the note it said, "Play ball." Now, Max rushed in and he got her out of the room, but that phrase, "play ball," it's important because it echoes the same language that Dilva used when pressuring people to cooperate and sign all these damn NDA agreements. That is a verbal fingerprint, so we need to remember this. Let's move on to Rachel. She's sitting in Alan's old office and she confided in him about discovering Trent's body. Then Alan reminded her that his office is a safe place, and then he randomly references the fact that they slept together. Right now, that line felt inserted for the audience rather than spoken naturally between these two characters. This is a classic tell instead of show problem that I talk about, right? The dialogue pauses the immediate crisis to remind viewers of their relationship history. We didn't need to know that, but the moment does not organically support that sexual reminder. Good exposition is typically disguised under conflict, right? Or inside the conflict, or the action, or the emotional subtext. But here, the line felt like the script briefly turned away toward the camera to say, "Hey, remember these two had sex?" Yes, we remember. Now, let's return to the corpse in the closet, please. The episode concludes the money storyline with one of the thieves discovering the duffel bag hidden underneath Dale's Lexus. Oh, I'm tired, y'all. Thanks for you know what? If you're still here, thank you. I appreciate it. I thought the money was hidden inside the car, but this thug just easily slid the bag from underneath the car. I don't know. Maybe I missed someone putting it there, because the way that they've built up this storyline, it's been escalating, like the money was inside the car, tucked away, hidden somewhere. So I'm thinking maybe the trunk, under the seat, some hidden compartment in the floor, anywhere, but the payment under the passenger side door. I don't know. Antonio got there, he pulled up on gang and demanded the money. Their confrontation, it turned into this big shootout, and all three men were hit. All three of them got shot. So this finally it creates this genuine uncertainty at this point. So I'm intrigued right now. The people who know where the car and the money are located may now all be injured or dead. So Kareem may be still searching for this car, and Sharon still in danger. Nancy's life may also depend on recovering that money while she's over Priscilla's house making soup and crumpets. So, although I have criticized the repetition in this storyline, the ending introduces a legitimate complication, and it creates anticipation for the next episode for me. So I will give the writers credit for that. Now, overall, worth the work. Episode 8, it had strong individual moments, particularly the White House conspiracy, Priscilla's refusal to submit, and the final parking lot escalation. I cannot. I'm so sorry. Okay, but the episode also struggled with repetitive dialogue, character logic, and recycled story architecture. Jason's storyline is beginning to feel like the same chase from previous seasons, and I've mentioned that before. Kareem's storyline needs a clearer end game, certainly, and several of the scenes rely too heavily on dialogue, explaining information instead of allowing behavior, performance, and visual storytelling to reveal it. But these are just my thoughts on Season 7, Episode 8 of the Oval. Now I need to hear from you. Is Kareem's darker transformation working? Or does it feel too sudden, too forced even? And after 7 seasons, how is Jason still the best hide-and-seek player in DC? Do y'all believe that Victoria and Donald will eventually follow through with the plan to kill Jason? Leave your thoughts down below. And while you're down there, like this video if you like the video. You know I'd appreciate it. And if you're a fan of Tyler Perry's The Oval like I am, then go ahead and sub to this channel for more videos just like this one. Thank you so much for tuning in to Ruthless TV today, you guys. And I'm gonna see you in the next one.